The tree told me, put the altar here.
August has come. Here in Austria, harvest time. You can feel the llama's energy. Life has reached its peak. It's like letting go your breath. I love this time. This special light in the late afternoon and evenings. Golden, rich and gentle. It remembers me of my inner soul space. It was not an easy summer for me so far. I was so tired. I deeply needed a sacred space. I had to go into the forest to connect with my inner mystic and my inner priest, with this peace inside me. I needed to light my fire again. I needed to dream. And I asked the trees to send me helpful visions. And so it came that I created a summer altar in the forest together with my friend.
Welcome, I'm Claudia, I'm from Austria, and on this channel I talk about sacred spaces and spiritual empowerment. People in almost all traditions and religions created altars and spiritual spaces to connect with the sacred, to connect with their gods, to be in contact with the spirits. For me, an altar or a sacred space is something which immediately brings me into another state of being. In difficult times, it's especially important for me to create sacred spaces because they help me to light my inner fire again. On the day we created our summer altar in the woods, the weeks before I was very tired and I felt that my inner light was very, very small. Once we started to create the altar in the woods, I felt immediately how my energy raised again. You can use traditions to create an altar. For example, we use the 4 elements: water, fire, air, and earth. You can also use Christian traditions or the traditions of other religions. But at least equally important is to use your own intuition, to feel what's the quality of the day, what mood I am in, what does the place want me to do, what do the spirits of the place want me to do. I walked through the woods, I looked around and I asked the forest, I asked the trees, where should I put my altar? And I got an answer from a beech tree. And the tree told me, put the altar here. What's also important is to try out things, yeah, to experiment and to arrange things and to see, does this make sense? Do the colors make sense? Do the symbols make sense? Does it harmonize? Does the altar harmonize in itself? And does it harmonize with the surrounding and with my state of mind? Yeah, the space always tells me when it's right. There are permanent altars at collective places like churches, temples, but you can also have a permanent altar at home. And then there are altars which are only meant for a certain time. So our altar in the woods, for example, it was meant for just a few hours. And then after this time, you dissolve it. Yeah. And even the altar you have permanent, it can change over time. So at some point you say, okay, I need less of these elements and more of other elements. And the elements you give away, you can burn them, you can give them to the water, or you can bury them and give it as a sacrifice to the spirits. For my winter solstice retreat, it lasted 6 days and was for 25 people. I had 3 altars. And we had one altar in the main seminar room. It was on a table. Then we had a sacred space in the middle of the room on the floor, people sitting around it. And our third altar was in a chapel we created. And in this chapel, people could go to meditate individually. I believe creating an altar is a deeply innate thing. We are spiritual beings. When I think about it, I really started to create my first altars and sacred spaces when I was a child. I didn't call them altar. I just took some things and rearranged them on the floor. Yeah, and then I got some feeling about them, and sometimes I put my stuffed animals around it. I think that we all have an inner priest, an inner priestess, and an inner mystic. And for me, it was very important to value this, to value myself, and to realize what I do, this is a spiritual act. Yeah. It took me some time to realize this. I think I was in my 30s. Yeah. And before this, I just did those things, but I didn't have words for it. I didn't have a concept. I just did it. And then I saw priests in the church doing similar things. But I did not think that the things that I do are the same that priests do. But this is not true. You have to value yourself and to value your spirituality. And you don't need another priest, an outside priest, to connect you with the spiritual world or to make spiritual actions. You can go to church, there's nothing wrong about it, yeah, and you can attend the Mass, the Holy Mass. But it's so important to realize that inside yourself there is so much you can reconnect with. Yeah, there is so much to discover and to connect with your own spirituality. Yeah. And this is what spiritual empowerment means for me. And yeah, your way to create a sacred space is maybe a little bit different than the way another person does it. So you have your own individuality, your own spiritual gifts you can use. When I create an altar, I have to come into this slow, quiet energy. It's like a trance state. And when I come into this state, I open up. It's a passive state of being. The water starts to calm down and everything becomes clear, and then you can see. Yeah. And this is only possible in this slow, introspective, open kind of energy or state of mind. In this state of mind, we don't come with our will or with our ego. So I cannot say, oh, today I want to do this and I want to come into this state of mind. No, this is not how it functions. This is not how it works. It's like, okay, I just let it go. Yeah, it's a passive state of mind. It's passive and quiet, and it's something that arises from within and flows through us.